Welcome to the Meaningful Work Podcast Fireside Chat, a more relaxed, deep conversation with this week's guest. So grab a coffee, a cigar, or whatever gives you the feels, and get ready to laugh and learn. Here's your host, Josh Schneider.
All right, and welcome back to the Fireside Chat with Kurtis and Josh. All right, Kurtis, if we're just being honest, in the interview, I tried to ask you a question and I butchered it, but I still want to tussle with this for just a moment. For those of you listening, I tried to take his last statement around, if I'm not doing my best to make myself better, I'm not doing my job. And Kurtis was saying, no, I think I said, if I'm not doing my best to make my team better, I'm not doing my job. And well, by now we know, but at the time of recording, I don't know which way it is. And then so I wanted to tussle with him around, like, could people hear that and think that it's selfish if I'm not doing my best to make myself better, then I'm not doing my job. And I was trying to bounce that over to him in such a way that he could just swat it away like a fly and be like, no, because if I'm being excellent and I'm committed to improving, then I'm going to have to improve with those around me. But it was an utter failure. So Kurtis, I would love to know, I guess, is there something, I guess, you wish I would have asked, or something that you were thinking about while we were, on this, spending that time on the interview together?
Not a whole lot. I mean, this is my second podcast I've ever been on. So, I'm kind of still new to the whole podcast game. So
Well,
as
that's
far as
why this podcast focuses on interviewing everyday rock stars.
oh, thank you very much.
It's not about, do you produce content? It's not about, are you a speaker? Are you an author? But it's simply those that I've encountered in life that have chosen a way to operate that feels normal to you, but it's not normal. One thing that I am very curious about is your time in the military, and what were a couple of lessons that were transferable? Because I know what it's like to transition from being on stage in front of hundreds of people into real life, meaning I'm back home. I can only imagine that transition of being in a situation where your life is potentially under threat. You are in the pursuit of a mission that is complex with unknown variables, and then you have to transition back. And I have like this unlimited empathy of, like, that has to, you go from viewing life at like 4K HD to like tube TV in terms of like what life requires of you. And then you come back to this normality, and it, like, the shifts have to be so insane. But what I'm curious about is, are there a couple of, or there has to be, but what are a couple of those like transferable elements or mindsets that as you buoyed in real life, as you found your footing, truly made a difference for you?
Oh, wow. That's good. I like that, Josh. One, the military, the Army in general, you talk about a melting pot with some amazing people. I've been humbled to work with some pretty amazing people. So when you look at, the way we're trained, and I think this speaks to one of the things that I've been pushing to kind of like explain to a lot of the people that I work past, especially within HR and, the benefits of the house. But, you look at someone that joins the service right off the bat, you're getting stripped of your identity when you go into basic training. And I hate to bring up basic, but you think of the idea of everyone getting just stripped down. They get their head shaved. Everyone is a team. They make you learn how to be a cohesive team together to the outcome of the group. So you look at that plus, working, anywhere from 80 to 120 hours a week with the same people. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at stress at a whole different, a whole
Wow.
different ballpark. So
It's almost like your capacity for what you could withstand was was pushed to a limit that all of a sudden dealing with some of the challenges or BS things that go on in real life, you have this context. Maybe is that what you're saying? You have this context of like, listen, this is not that.
no, that's exactly sort of along the lines that I'm going with. You look at one, you're gonna get sleep deprived, you're gonna get food deprived. You know what I mean? You have to think on your feet with little to no time to sleep or eat, and you have to make a decisive action or a decisive idea or plan within a little bit of time. So one of the things that stuck with me over the years was one of my very, very close friends, God rest his soul, but Jerry Lee Howe. Some of the best things he ever taught me was this one statement: quick, smart decisions.
Hmm.
And that, I mean, that goes back to my whole service when I heard that. Maintaining what you have, what you know, and making a decision. Now, you talk to people that don't make a decision, you're looking at, some bad situations that
Hmm.
could happen. So, a lot of me and where I am is obviously, from the military. A lot of it.
It's interesting you said quick, smart decisions. When you said that, I immediately snapped to my almost 10 years in the restaurant industry. And I can remember on a couple of occasions in this one fine dining restaurant, I went out the back of the kitchen and I stood in this little like alleyway between the shed and the kitchen, and I would look at my car and I would be like, you could leave right now, because the number of, I mean, it's what makes, we in the industry you call it going sideways, or in the weeds, and it's basically 15 things need to happen and I've got time for 6. And in that moment you're having to constantly reprioritize. You're assessing human beings at all these different things, temperature of food, timing in people's experience. Now clearly in some ways I'm trying to relate, but not to the detriment of being out on the battlefield would be.
Right.
But um maybe something I never thought about before, how critically important, or a training ground, if you will, of how to make quick, smart decisions. Because when you can operate like that, when the volume gets turned up on task load or when stress hits the fan, and you have this internal structure for how to make quick, smart decisions, that can really make a difference in how it is that you show up. That's
Exactly.
good.
But the biggest thing with adding to that would be preparation.
Hmm.
Like in the military, we did everything. We prepared for everything, right? We did rehearsals to make sure that we were gonna. I mean, obviously, we didn't do a rehearsal for today, but you know, moving forward, you're gonna be pretty smooth going. But you know, you look at just the things that you get taught. You know, it's just it'll blow your mind, and I think
Hmm.
that has a lot to do with again, I think it added some really great values, not just values, things that help me, tools in my toolbox to accomplish what I need to accomplish.
Was it easy along the way? Like,
So, yes and no. I think the hardest thing was having, like early on when my wife and I were just my wife and I, and then we had a couple kids, with us. It got a little bit more dicey. But I'm stronger actually because of my wife during that whole time. You look at a divorce rate, what is that? I think it's 89%.
what?
89% of the people that join the service are get divorced. They get so
What?
yeah, yeah. So I've been super super lucky with my beautiful bride. That you know I am where I am and I'm doing what I'm doing. So
Hmm.
goes back to, thanking other people.
Which is funny you went there because I asked, was it easy? And I struggle with like the words easy versus simple. Like some things can be simple, but they're hard. It's simple to know that, like, for example, getting on the treadmill and walking 2 miles a day would be healthy for me. Like that is simple. You can tell me that in 3 seconds. But it might be so hard for me to consistently execute on actually doing that thing. And that's I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than just walking. Let's not talk about like doing a challenging workout or CrossFit. Those people, we'll have prayer for those people later.
CrossFit? I heard CrossFit. I'm gonna go throw some hay bales.
One of my favorite jokes is if you meet a vegan who also does CrossFit, what do they tell you about themselves first?
I don't know. I've never known a vegan in CrossFit.
maybe that's what makes the joke so good. So back to like simple versus easy. Yeah. When I say that, do any like thoughts or experiences come to mind for you in terms of, maybe it was like, I'm sure basic, right? Basic is not like, what is it? Frog week or the first week of like SEAL team, whatever, hell week or yeah, like basic is not that, but how many people drop out of basic because maybe their mind's not right or they're like they didn't know what they were signing up for? Like, I mean, you're talking about it now, but I want to go back to like, I'm just personally curious when you were there in the moment where you're like, I got this, or were there moments of like, I think I gotta like just hit the eject button?
No, I mean, I played college. Well, I started to play college football. I played on the U.S. national soccer team for a couple of years. With regard, I played high school sports. I was all state, all this good stuff. So when I went into basic, I mean, to me, it wasn't as hard as what other people were having. So, I mean, you're talking, I think it was 15 weeks straight. And they do have, it's like 3 weeks or the hell weeks or whatever you want to call it, in basic for the infantry. So I think the biggest thing I had struggles with is deployment. So, I deployed Iraq in 2009, 10, 11, 12, and then Afghanistan 13, 14. So when you look at that span of time,
Wow.
and then you're also looking at training. So we'll take it back. My wife and I got married June 28th, 2008. She moved to Texas about maybe a month and a half afterwards. I was in training the whole time until I deployed. So we spent maybe 10. I mean, you look at it like the years or the 12 years we've been married, 8.5, almost 9 years was in the service. Out of those 8.5 years, we only spent a year and a quarter together.
Wow.
So that's with both my wife and kids. So that was the hard thing to do. Deployment, they went like that. Army, the service went like that when I think back to it now. But during that time, yes, it was definitely hard. And it's the same thing with marriage. You know what I mean? I've been married for 12 years. Not easy.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's all in how you see it and how you view the circumstance in which you're in. So for me, I've had so many other things that have happened in my life that were really tough. One of the things that they teach as well at the Army is resiliency, so your ability to bounce back from things that happen to you. So yeah, it was definitely hard, but you look at the overall goal, you know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. The overall goal is, hey, I'm going to succeed. I want to make things great for my wife. I want to make things great for my kids. So that's what, it's hard, but it's easy. Because as long as you have that goal in the back of your mind, like, this is where I'm going. This is where I am going. How am I to get there?
Yes. And I feel like that has to be like I used to joke, I have plan B. And this is early on in my serving. I think I had left the CPA firm at the time, and there was this guy that would come in like every like Tuesday night, come in like 8:45 after the gym. And so we built this relationship. And one time I joked with him, like, plan B is I'm just going to move to the Caribbean, wear linen pants, and sell cigars and coffee.
You sound like my wife.
I mean, it's like if I'm not getting after something that's meaningful to me, like linen pants, cigars, coffee, like might as well be this. And he looked me in the eyes and he was like, stop saying that. He's like, no plan B. And it in the moment I kind of was like, ha ha. And listen, I have taken plans Z through KVY to get to where I'm at. We adjust along the way, but you have to have the sense of mission, the sense of where it is that you're going. Because if you don't, it's like if you don't have a sense of like clarity and driving factor around I'm trying to, even if it's just provide a better life or be different than the environment that I grew up in, whatever it might be, whatever's convicting to everybody, if you don't have that, how do you, it makes getting through some of those challenging moments in life so difficult because I have this belief that somebody works 35 hours a week at McDonald's. It's not that they're not working hard. They are showing up and still having to do something that in some cases they don't want to do. And so every path is going to have challenge and be hard, but is it helping you get to the direction that you want to go? And I mean, it's been very interesting to hear some of these things because I would imagine too that like I could talk to somebody that you went to basic training with and get a whole different list of, they're not going to say, oh, when I didn't get to eat, it actually helped make me a better person. And it, like, you're like resilience training. I'm sure there was no part of the manual that was like, and now it's time to learn how to be resilient. They just forced it upon you, but you had this filter that allowed you to see, oh, this can make me a better person. Or, oh, I have a skill set. I have, like we joke when you're on the treadmill, it's like you say, or you're on for a run and you're going to say, once I get to mile 3, then I'm going to stop. And then you get to mile 3 and you're like, joking. Nope. Gotcha. And we build this skill. And I think we all build it in different ways, but it's been very interesting to hear you unpack some of these things that I think others would just miss.
Yeah, you know what? And you made me think of this too. One of the other things that I do, I'm really passionate about helping my fellow brothers and sisters in arms, obviously. I do mentor transitioning service members out of, coming out of the Army, Marine, whatever. Navy, Coast Guard, I better name all of them.
Wait, there's a Coast Guard?
So, the biggest thing I talk to is, speak to with mentoring people is, one, understanding what you've done, and I always ask the question.
Wow.
Before I'll be like, hey, what have you done in the military? And they'll be like, oh, I did this and this. And I'm like, hey, actually you did this. So I'll break it down. Logistic wise, hey, yeah, I used to run ranges. Okay. Civilian, they're going to be like, I have no idea what that is. Right. Then you can break down, hey, I planned the logistics. I had to plan the medical evacuation plan for where this is. I had to get people that were certified or have licenses to bring ammunition from point A to point B and drop it off. And that has to be secure in this location. So I have to know how to do that. I have to get personnel to run the range. I have to coordinate, you know what I mean? And I break all these skills with all these service members and they're like, huh, I never thought of it that way. And I'd be like, you have all these abilities to help people or to do a job or to do a career, build a career out, and you're not even thinking into it. You know what I mean? Because it's basically like, you're looking from 1,000 feet when, you should be 10 feet looking at what's there in front of you, and then go to 50 feet and then assess, and then 100 feet, and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's how I feel about, like, especially with your end goal, what you're trying to accomplish, and being realistic with yourself.
Yeah. That's understanding what it is that you've done. And I would be curious too that in almost, that's transitioning maybe from military into civilian life. But even for somebody who went to college and worked a crap job number one and got a better job number two and a better job number three and a better job number four, I imagine, and even if I were to go there myself, it's so easy to miss out on those experiences you had in those first, in any job before the job you currently have. And if you could truly begin to understand the processes or systems that maybe you mastered or built excellence in, there's a framework, or there's a nugget, or there's a tool buried somewhere in there, um, that has equipped you and helped make you who you are now, but you would have never asked for that thing.
No. It's just, it's there, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, the pressure of like a diamond is created with immense pressure. Oil, one of the world's most valuable resources, is produced as a result of pressure. And so is it sometimes the pressure of, I mean, think about this, but honestly, I'm thinking out loud because I've never fully framed it up this way, but is it the pressure of like a situation that part of you does not like? And I think all of our roles, all of our jobs have situations that we don't like, but is it the pressure of those things that produces the friction that helps polish or shape or chip away parts of us that are lazy or insignificant? Or does the pressure produce something so beautiful on the other end if we stay engaged with it? I'm asking, thinking out loud. What's your thoughts?
I think that's the way you put that is great. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, if the person, like, point taken, you want to do, you want to walk 2 miles, right? Well, you're not seeing the value of, well, you see the value of it, but then you're like, I'm just gonna procrastinate, right? It's the same thing with in life. When things get hard, a lot, I'm not saying everyone, a lot of people quit.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? I tell you what, who I watch. I watch this guy called Ed Milet. I don't know if you
Oh
ever.
yeah.
He's great. But just speaking to who you want to be, like, who you want to be as far as, maxing out or being your best you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I shrug off, like, right now, I'm a hypocrite because I should be working out every single day. I'm working out every single day, but I'm not doing what I should be doing.
Yes.
I got to keep myself accountable. One, because I want to be here for my kids when they get old. I want to see them graduate high school, hopefully college if they choose it. But yeah, the pressure. I think pressure has a lot to do with, as far as people. Like, I like the way you put it. Talking about diamond oil, but yeah, I think for me personally, I've always been that person that's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna win. Like, now I want to win.
Yeah.
As far as pressure goes, like right now I'm being a procrastinator. I know, but I know where I need to go, and I know I need to do it. You
Yeah.
know, when speaking to people with pressure, yeah, like, it's gonna suck for a little bit. Like, point taken, right now, in the climate we're in with the coronavirus or COVID-19. Um, look at the positive of what's happening. I mean, I've spent more family time with my kids. I'm seeing the
Mm-hmm.
positive. I spent more time with my wife and kids,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm getting a relationship that I never ever probably would have gotten,
Yeah.
or received.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I'm blessed to be able to work from home. I mean, that I work at a great company and we're spoiled. But you look at what's in front of you and place value. a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh my God, I'm stuck in a house. I got to do this. I got to do that. You know, like the TV, all this negativity. It's like, why? Why are you paying attention to that?
Hmm.
What really matters to you? What's your why?
Hmm.
You know? So yeah, that's how I answer that question. You know, free thought of thinking about pressure.
Yeah.
It's pressures. Everyone has pressure.
Yes.
Some way, shape, or form, or some type of stress. You know what I mean? It's how you react or act to what's in front of you.
Yeah, that's good. It's just
So,
like maybe I need to come up with a better way of thinking through it, but it's like that's where that person that's full time at McDonald's and doesn't want to be there. It's like that. That's I hate that idea of like, oh, I'm just going to go flip burgers. Like flipping burgers is not a stressful endeavor. Like flipping burgers brings with it its own series of stresses, its own series of timings. Like it's so it is there. Every individual going through life is under degrees of pressure, even those that are wealthy. Uh, they're thinking not how do I make my next 50K or 100K. They're saying how do I turn my 50 million into 100 million. Like they face pressure, whether it's internal or external. So we are all under this. And so maybe as we wrap up this fireside chat, it's how do we all develop? And I love this because it's like, you know, we know each other, we have known of each other, but we've never talked with each other to this degree. So I feel like I'm still very much marinating on some of the things that you've said that I didn't know about you, or didn't know that you maybe from the moment I met you or in our interactions over the last couple of years, I've felt this, or I have sensed a depth of who you are. But I've truly enjoyed this process of walking through and just hearing some of the things that you say, which is indication to how you view life and how you view your work and how you view your job and your family. And so it's been fun to get to do this. And just, yeah, I mean, pressure's here, pressure is there, but it's those experiences in life that you've done such a good job of reframing and building and putting together to build a personal tool set that that truly makes the difference and allows you to truly unleash the best part of you, or try to figure it out, at least with optimism and positivity. So Kurtis, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and spend this together on the Fireside Chat.
have a go, man. Thanks for having me.